Hello, hello, everyone. So excited to be able to share with you some really great information today. So, give me just a moment. Let me go ahead and invite our other host today. So, give me just a few moments to invite La Femme Exec. Waiting for her to join. If for some reason it doesn't, then I'll hop back on the live and
Hi!
here we go.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
Hi,
sorry. I've
how
been trying to
are you?
log on, but I was trying to log on through my laptop, but it was giving me issues. So I'm just
Oh,
logged
it's
on my phone. How
fine.
are you?
Yeah, I'm
Hi,
so
thank
good. How are
you.
you?
This is my
Awesome.
first time doing it
Well,
live.
I'm so excited to be able to chat with you.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we have a couple things going on. We planned for about half hour. So it's 11:07, so we can finish up right before
Okay.
11:30,
I don't
12:30
know
your
if
time.
okay.
All right.
How do we know when people join? Does it just show?
Sure. So what'll happen at the very bottom of the screen, it will come up and people will start
Ah,
adding
okay.
onto the conversation. Yeah, and if not, then we'll end up sharing the information with them on the replay. People may be busy at work and not be able to break away, so we can also share it
Okay,
with them that
okay.
way as
I'll
well.
hit. I don't know how to record, but we can start. Now it's 12:08.
Yes,
Again,
go
I
ahead.
apologize for my technical issues. First time doing a live.
It's fine.
So it's about myself. My name is Jasmine. I'm the founder of La Femme Exec, and I basically started La Femme Exec to help women color excel in their careers. I feel like when I started, I was working for a big tech company, and I was pretty much lost, and I didn't know like how I wanted my career path to shape. So I began looking to see like other women who are kind of like in a similar place and like wanted to grow in their career, but they just didn't know how. So I started interviewing women from diverse career fields, and I started telling my own career story. And that's really where La Femme Exec started from. In my professional life, I do biz dev for a nonprofit. I really enjoy it. Yeah. So that's basically about me.
Okay. Awesome. Very good. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And then you're right. There's so many things that we do not have the opportunity to learn as you're growing as it relates to being a professional in a career. So I know our topic today is about building and maintaining your personal brand throughout your career. So I would really like to see some of your tips that you want to share, and then I'll share a couple of tips and we'll open it
So
up for questions
building
and
your
answers.
professional brand, I would say first of all, what's your digital footprint like? So the reason I start with this is because I remember a couple of years ago I had an internship. Um, it was like a tech company, and I had the task of assisting them bring on the new interns. And one thing they did was they actually checked their social media profiles. So that goes back to
Really?
brand building. So
Okay.
was their story, their brand telling something that was off the organization's brand or not? So for me, how I maintain brand building in my career is making sure, for one, the easiest way to do it is making sure that your social media displays who you are professionally. That's your social media that has your professional name. Um, if you know,
Mhm.
it's social media is your own, and obviously everyone is an individual, but companies do look at that. Another way is by writing articles about your field, like being a thought leader. So an easy way to do this is a Medium account. If you have a Medium account, you can write as much as you want. But what you want to show people is that you have expertise and you're passionate about this field. So that's another way, is by writing about it. And thirdly, it's just word of mouth. What do people associate you by? Like, when someone talks about you in a room, what are they going to say about your professional personality? So those are just
Mm.
three examples.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are some really great examples, especially about the employers and looking at your social media profiles, because this is just the day and age in the 21st century in terms of what people do nowadays. So I think, like you said, that personal brand piece really is how you are perceived by others, and making sure you have that best foot forward, like the articles you mentioned, which I think are really excellent tips that you shared to help somebody be able to start to develop that personal brand that they want to have.
Yeah, so that's one way. I would say, how about you? I don't have as much years of experience. I'm still under the 10 years of experience mark. I'm just a little under the 10 years of experience mark.
Okay.
So I would say, like, what have you done to build your own brand in your career?
Sure. So a couple of things that I would recommend, especially for the individuals that are watching this our live, is when you think about building your personal brand, let's dive into the word build, because it means to establish a solid foundation. So you're going to have something, whether you're building, a house, if you're building a car, or your multi-million-dollar empire, it needs a foundation. So I think when building a brand, one of the most important things is really to know yourself and what it is that you are trying to convey. And so from a coaching standpoint on my end, I would ask a client these questions that hopefully somebody can take a pen, write down, and maybe help them think about their personal brand. So what are the 3 characteristics, values, or traits that you want to be known for? Write those down and kind of have in your mind what you want that to be. The second I would ask a client would be to think about, what are some of the things in your career that you are willing to deal with, and some of the things that you're not willing to deal with. Because a lot of times situations will come up, but if we really truly know ourselves and how we want to present our personal brand, then we can automatically say, okay, this is how I want to handle a situation. So for instance, if in my case, I know my things that I would deal with and what I wouldn't, one of the things for me would be disrespect. That's something I'm not going to deal with professionally.
Yeah.
No one should deal with that professionally. But having that in your mind, just to say, okay, this is what I know that I'm going to do if this situation comes up, will be very helpful. And I think the last thing I would mention in terms of building the brand would be to think about some of the things that you actually mentioned. What are some knowledge base or skills that you need to develop to help to make you that expert in your field? You had a great point about having articles or writing as many articles as you can to have that presence that you know what you're talking about. And that's really what it is about a personal brand. They are the expert in their particular field. So I would say whatever knowledge that they need, if they need to read some professional development, or read their specific discipline, or work with a coach just to get some more customized help, get whatever you can to establish yourself as an authority.
I like that. That's good. That's really, really good. So I would say, okay, like for Gen Zers especially, I think Gen Zers are really interesting. I'm millennial, but Gen Zers, I feel like their own work trajectory is going to be way different. And, everything is on TikTok now, and Instagram. So like when I think of like Gen Zers building their brand, there's still like the same theme of being authentic and being fun, but not overdoing it so much that you come off as an unprofessional person. You can still be fun, still be lively, and still be very, very professional. And then it goes back to your thing about like one of the things that a lot of people won't tolerate is like disrespect. So just being a respectful person in every aspect of your work is something that I would say is good for brand building in a career as well.
Okay, awesome. What are some tips that you would like to share about maintaining your personal brand?
I would say some tips about maintaining my personal brand. One would be just going back to maybe going for industry events, so going for events that are in your industry, to having networking with people who are like-minded. And that's also how you build your brand, because you never know when an opportunity arises and someone is like, I met this person and they can do this. So that's it. And three, just seeing yourself as a business. I think that's one thing like I've learned is like you have to see yourself as your own business, kind of like you have to constantly try and improve yourself, try and learn new things, and always make sure you're upskilling. Those are some things that I do as well.
I think that is a great term, upscaling. I think that is the perfect term about maintaining your brand, because it's not like a, you know, a set it and forget it. It is something that you continually have to work on and continually to build your personal brand to be whatever it is that you want it to be. So those are some really great tips in terms of networking. Everything she mentioned was fantastic. I mean, those are great ways to maintain it. The one thing that I would add, probably two things as it relates to maintaining your brand, particularly in your career and as your profession, is that you have to make a commitment to yourself that you want to be this person. Because what happens, and you made a good point a few moments ago, is that people can sometimes be friendly, funny, and that's what you need. We all need laughter in life, but there is a balance when you're in a professional setting. And a lot of times I see some of my clients struggle with this, is that there's boundaries that are placed. And sometimes when you're working in a place, you just get lax. You're just like, oh, you know, I'll just, you know, hang out. Oh, it's just my friend over there working, and just do your own thing. But ultimately, if you can't commit to yourself to maintain this brand, then people will not have the confidence in you as you would like for them to have. So that's really my first tip, is really committing to yourself. Like, I want to be this person. This is who I am authentically to my core. This is how I want to present myself. And my second tip would be to maintain and establish a really good executive presence, especially in the workplace, because it is so critically important. I see so many women really struggle with this. And what happens is those boundaries are let down. And I'll just tell everyone joining, when it comes to your executive presence, it is so important for you to not let up on it on any given day, at any given time. That's why you have friends. That's why you have your relatives, spouse, or whoever that you're spending your time with. Those are the people that you can just kind of let your hair down and be friends with, be okay, cordial with. But when you're in a work setting, still be cordial, but every single day it is a challenge, because someone is going to challenge you. Particularly sometimes with females, you'll get a challenge and someone will say, well, maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. And if you say, well, okay, yeah, I think I should, that could have been that one time where someone's like, yeah, I got this person. I don't care what they have to say, and they just run with it, or they'll spread maybe not some nice things about you. But really building that executive presence and maintaining it, and just knowing that it's hard, but when you're trying to elevate yourself and upscale yourself, just as you mentioned, it is so important for you to be able to really focus on your presence, and keep it at all times, regardless of what the situation is.
I agree with that too. I feel like regardless of what role you're in, executive presence is very, very important, because a lot of the times people do get carried away. Personally, one thing I'm totally against is gossip in the workplace, especially when women do it. So a lot of people get carried away and they forget that they are actually in a workplace. So you never know who's going to use what against you, or like, you know, how that's going to be portrayed, or if you might be misinterpreted like in a different scenario. So I would say something just like piggybacking off what you said, having that executive presence, and not just not letting your hair down as hard as it is, because people always say like, oh, you should bring your authentic self to work, which is true. But I would say, like, as women, we can't really always afford to let our hair down, because we're judged differently. And you might just have one slip up, and that might be something that's, you know, used against you. So just always think of yourself as an executive. In my professional life, whether I'm marketing, project management, or like sales, anything I'm doing, I always try and like think about myself as like, okay, this is a professional setting, and you know, those conversations, we can save that for the weekend when we're not in work hours. If we hang out in the weekend, maybe I can decide to, but when you're working, just make sure you're as professional as can be. And I think Michelle Obama has also alluded to that and said, like, you should always make sure that you're bringing 110% in terms of your mannerisms and how you carry yourself. So that's basically what I have to say. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are some really great tips. And I just appreciate you so much for the dialogue to talk about how to really build and maintain your personal brand. So we have several people that joined. I just want to say thank you all for spending a few moments out of your very busy day with us to talk about a topic that we're both very passionate about. Definitely follow La Femme Exec and follow Excite Excellence as well to learn more tips on how to help you become that professional that you are looking to be. I would like to know if anybody has any questions. We have a few moments and I would be happy to answer. I'm sure you would be happy to answer any questions that come up before we finish up here in just a few moments. Does anyone have any questions, any challenging situations that came up maybe in the workplace and you're just wondering, you know, how could I maybe have positioned myself in my personal brand to have a better outcome or anything like that? So while we're waiting for any questions, would you like to give a closing thought just about our topic? And just know that this is such a fun topic. I could talk about this all day. I'm sure you could talk about it all day too. So we definitely do this again at some point in time. But what are some final thoughts that you would like to share with everybody that's watching this video?
I would say some final thoughts is always think of yourself as an executive woman. Always remember what you have to bring to the table, and always remember that yourself, like, you are a brand and you are a business, so you have to carry yourself as such. You know, there's a reason why brands hire people who do PR, because they don't want to be seen in a negative light. And that's, you should also practice doing PR for yourself. Make sure you're always portraying yourself in a positive light. Make sure you have a can-do attitude, and be careful about what you allow social media to say about you. Like, anytime, you know, once you post something on the internet, and it can actually stay there for life, for the rest of your life. So make sure when you're posting things and it has your professional name, be as professional as possible. Try not to say anything that can make people see you in a bad light. Just stay neutral and professional. Yeah. Sweet.
Wow, that's great. Really fantastic tips. And I've seen people struggle with that. So yes, think of yourself as an executive, upscale your skills, as you mentioned, upskill yourself is very important. And I think my last closing thought would be really just to stay on your executive presence at all times, all of the time, because I see it happen so many times with other individuals I've worked with where they do let their guard down, or they may say something that was probably not the best thing to say at that time to someone, and it just, their presence just goes way down, and people just think about them in a different way, and then it comes up as a challenge because they feel like they're being treated differently. Why are they talking to me this way? Well, sometimes, not all the time, because there really sometimes are legitimate issues in the workplace, but sometimes it could have been how you're being perceived. And so having that strong personal brand, knowing yourself, knowing how it is you want to be perceived by other people is so incredibly important. And to just keep it consistent, don't let up on it at any given moment, because as you mentioned, just one situation can cause people to think differently. And it's not necessarily all about pleasing people, by no means. Just being yourself and knowing that there is something that you're trying to project as it relates to your personal brand.
I 100% agree. And this is very important, especially for millennials and Gen Zers, because I think they do share everything online, but, you know, there has to be some type of break. Like, there has to be a division. Like, where does that stop and where does your professional life begin?
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point, because I mean, you could be mad, but just maybe think about before you type something. I'm just a person, you know, just type something that's too much. Just think about, take a pause for a second and think, you know, if my employer was looking at this, what would they say? Or is this reflecting the executive that
and even
I want to be?
Someone who even runs a business right now, I think businesses, everyone is all about, like, social impact. And nowadays, when people buy from a
Mm-hmm.
brand, they want to know that the brand reflects something that they care about. They don't want to feel like, oh, the brand isn't professional or the brand is always being controversial. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I just appreciate you so much for agreeing to collaborate with me. This has been so much fun, and there's so many topics that you have on your page that I would definitely want to collaborate again
Yeah.
because I'm passionate about it. You're passionate about it, and we just want to help as many people as we can just learn from our experiences working in different settings to just help set themselves apart and just be the
Thank
best person
you.
they can
Thank you
become.
so much.
Awesome. And if you all have any additional questions, I didn't see any questions come up just yet, but if you have any, definitely reach out to either one of us. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you and would appreciate it if you can follow us. Follow us here on Instagram. I'm not sure if you have a YouTube channel or what other channels you have, but just look out for us. We'll be able to
Thank
help
you
you out as
so
best we
much.
can. All right. Well, you have a good day. And everyone that joined, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join with us today. And if you're watching it on the replay, feel free to reach out to us and we'll
Thank you
help you out
so
as best as we
much.
can.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm looking forward to
Bye.
future collaborations.
You too. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Everyone have a
Bye.
good day. Bye.